All right, everyone. Well, welcome back to our continued reflections on the Lord's Prayer. Today we have this beautiful snowy Colorado day. Hopefully you prayed the rosary with the Holy Father today at 2 o'clock. If you haven't, I encourage you to pray it anyways. Pray for our world, pray for an end to the virus. Today we continue our kind of look at the Lord's Prayer, and we come today to the petition about the bread. Give us this day our daily bread. The Greek, I know you want to hear the Greek, so I have my Greek New Testament here. And so the Greek of Matthew 6:11 says this. It says, ton arton hemon, ton epiousion, dos hemin semeron. Which is, as we're used to saying, it's give us this day our daily bread. Now today what we're going to encounter, there's a number of beautiful things, but we're going to encounter today our first real issue with translation. The Our Father has a couple of translation issues that are just difficult. Translation is not a science, it's an art. It's difficult. In the biblical scholarship world, some of the most important biblical scholars are guys named Davies and Allison. And they wrote a 3-volume commentary on St. Matthew's Gospel. It's a great book. Don't highly recommend it unless you're a biblical scholar. But anyway, in that book, they say that the translation of the word daily, as we usually translate it here, is one of the most complex and difficult problems in all of translation in the New Testament. So we got a big task ahead of us. We got to shed some light on the word epiousion and what that means. So before we dive into that, though, I want to do one thing. So we mentioned in the last video that the Our Father is probably a prayer that has the Exodus as its background. And this is probably the place where it's most clear. So in the Exodus, though, the Exodus story, we hear God calling Israel his firstborn son. And so we have a father. God is a father in the Exodus story. So our Father who art in heaven. The Exodus story is where the Jews learned the name of God. In Exodus 3:14, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, right? The Jews are on their way. They're leaving this world and Pharaoh's kingdom to establish God's kingdom in Israel. Thy will be done, right? The Jews learn the commandments of God in the wilderness, right? They're going to learn how to be obedient as they follow God. But today's the most clear one with the Exodus. Give us this day our daily bread. And that goes back to the manna story in Exodus chapter 16. And one point I just want to make about this before we jump into kind of some of the translation issues here. In the Exodus story, the Jews are only allowed to gather bread for one day. So God says, I'm going to rain down bread from heaven. The Jews have been hungry. By the way, they left Egypt. And God only gives them bread after they run out of food. So the Red Sea is Exodus 14. In chapter 15, they run out of food. And that's a symbol for us. In our life as Christians, you can't truly taste God's bread, which for us, of course, is the Eucharist,